Hopeful for tomorrow, good enough today. Oh yeah, hopeful for tomorrow, good enough today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Good Enough Today, the podcast where we share stories from people who are showing up authentically, even when life gets hard. I'm your host, Sharima Lee, and today I have a very special guest, Miss Jordan Cannon. How are you,
Hi,
Jordan?
everybody. I'm good. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you in person.
I know, right? I feel like
StreamYard in
I know
person.
you, but I don't. We've had a lot of communication, but I never get to see your face. So I'm very excited today. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag but I do want to start every interview like we do the all interviews. Tell me today, how are you feeling physically, emotionally, and mentally on a scale from 1 to 10, of course, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best?
Okay. Physically, I'm probably like a 6. I have this. I just don't sleep well. I'm bad at sleeping. Like I don't go to bed, and then I've started recently waking up too early, and so I'm just tired. Emotionally, I'm actually like an 8. Like things are good right now. Nothing's too stressful at the moment. Mentally, probably I say nothing's too stressful. Mentally, probably a 6. Also, like I got some. Mostly, it's big work stuff coming up that I try not to stress too much about it because it's a week or so away, but like it's hovering there. So
I
between that and then like getting ready for the holidays and everything,
Oh
probably
yeah.
6. But
Okay, that's actually really good. That's really good. Now, I want to talk about your not sleeping. You s- you've thrown it at me, and now I gotta ask, right? Okay, so, you said that you started waking up early, maybe too early. How early are you waking up?
like around 7,
Okay.
7:15, and like my alarm set for 7:45. The problem is I'm generally not like a morning person. I for a long time with my job was working in the evenings when sports are going on, and so I was working like 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. So then I got in a bad habit because that was my first like 6 years of work. So I got in the habit of
Mhm.
going to bed at 1 a.m. and waking up at 9:30 or 10. Now my hours are kind of more traditional, but I still go to bed late. And I think part of
Okay.
it too is like I get through the workday and then I get through all the things you need to do at home. And then I feel like I haven't done anything for myself. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch my show or I'm going to read my book or scroll Instagram or play games on my phone. And then I realize it's 1 a.m. and I got to be up.
Okay, so I think that this is actually a really good a little I mean, I didn't intend to ask you about this and make this a
No.
sleep episode, but I think it's interesting because I feel like do you feel guilty when you wake up and you're tired because you stayed awake so late at night?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Because I'm like, you didn't need to do this. You did this to yourself. There's no reason for you to stay up that late.
No, and that's so interesting to me because I it kind of fits into the good enough today because you feel like you want to have time for yourself at the end of the day, right? And so you're like, no,
Mhm.
this is my time. I'm embracing it. This is what I deserve. But it really is not setting the future you up for success. And I think we do that
Not
all
at all.
the time.
Not at all. Or it's a thing too where I'm like, oh, I can stay up later because I don't have to be up. So I don't set an alarm like super early, but then I still wake up. I mean, I have 3 dogs, so, like, then and they're lazier than I am. It's really they're not the ones making me get up, but I'm like, "Oh, and they probably need to go out, and I need to feed them, and blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
so, like, I'll just get up since I can't go back to sleep now."
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Like, I think that that will resonate with a lot of people because I think we all kind of fight with that. How do we fit in time for ourselves when we have to do everything else too? I would say fit in the time for yourself beforehand, before you do the things to kind of suck. But then you're setting yourself up kind of for failure with those things too. So it's like one or the other. Maybe a little less rest and feeling good at the end of the night is worth it. Maybe just shave off 30 minutes. Shave off
Right,
30.
yeah, we're working on that. We're 10 minutes each night. We'll go try and go to bed 10 minutes earlier each night.
Absolutely.
Eventually, I'll get to a normal sleep schedule,
Until you get to
maybe.
a normal sleep cycle, that's good enough. Okay, so you talked about work kind of being a cloud over you. You got some things going on. What do you do for work?
So, I am now a live event producer for ESPN. And as kind of treetops as I can make that, like if you're watching, I work in college sports too. So if you're watching a for instance, my fall sport was soccer. So if you happen to be watching SEC Network and you were watching the South Carolina Texas soccer game, I'm in the control room and kind of steering the ship for that is the easiest way to describe it. It's a lot of like preparing. You need to know the teams. You set up coach meetings with the people who are calling the game, and then you go in the room and you just make sure everyone is kind of set up for success and everyone knows what direction we're going in and what we're trying to tell while this game is happening.
And then during the game, are you the one to like go in the camera too? Do this, switch this over, go over here, do that. Is that you?
So that's a team effort between myself and the director usually. So the director's the one that will actually say like, all right, take camera 2. All right, now take camera 3. But I'll say like, okay, that was a good shot. We need to see that replay. We're going to use X machine, Y machine. And then I tell the director, and he's the one that tells the technical director, who's the one hitting the buttons, like, okay, now we're going X and Y. So it's definitely a team effort. You've got to be able to collaborate. You got to be able to work with people, which has been an interesting thing to learn in my new job. Because for the first 10 years of my career, I was in Austin and I worked at the Longhorn Network. So it was kind of working with the same people, same groups of people, at least for every game. And now I'm going in and working in like with a school control room crew who is like, could be made up of 50% full-time staff, 50% students who are learning how to do this job.
Wow.
So you got to be, so you got to be flexible, but you also got to be patient. Cause like that is the one thing, probably the biggest adjustment is, and it's fine because these students are great and they want to learn, but going from someone who that's their only job and their everyday job to someone who's, I had 8 a.m. class and now I'm here for this game. And literally I've had students who are like, all right, like now I got to go home and study because I have a final in the morning. And I'm just sitting there like, thank goodness that's not me. No way.
That sounds super stressful for me. Like, I feel like there are a lot of moving parts and like, what happens if it goes wrong? Like if you get it wrong, what do you do?
So when the first thing that I'll do is own up to it. First of all, something goes wrong, you just gotta like straight up, that was my bad, that was on me, because you certainly don't want it to like snowball where like maybe I called the wrong replay machine and they weren't ready to go, so the director's not looking at them, he just takes it and they weren't ready, so it's just, and then like director's mad at them. And so I'm like, no, that was me. That was on me. But the other thing, you have to be flexible too. Like I hate that this happened, but it's kind of hilarious looking back now. One soccer game I had this season, when there's weather in the area, it's within 8 miles. If there's a lightning strike, we have to bring our camera people off of their cameras and put them in and get them into a safe area so they don't get struck by lightning, obviously.
Yes.
One game, we saw a lightning strike on our official like safety thing. The school facility people did not see that lightning strike, so we had to pull all of our camera people off and they continued playing the game. So we had to televise the game, like just set the cameras where the best we could and then produce the game with no camera people. So it's things like that. It's like in the moment, just okay, what is the best way? How can we cover the most of the field and just do that until they're allowed to go back out. Like, and so it's, again, it was a team effort again. Like we set up the cameras as best we could. The guy in charge of graphics was great. He was, he started like a countdown clock to when our camera guys were allowed back, like all these things. So it is really just being flexible. Like that's the biggest thing, because things are going to go wrong. It's live television. Things are going to go wrong. Cameras are going to break, thank goodness it hasn't happened yet, but audio may go out. We're also doing like a lot of games where like the people calling the game might be at their houses, but there was one game where we couldn't connect to our soccer analyst until 5 minutes before we went on air, that kind of thing. So flexibility and a little bit of creativity are probably the most important things there. And that's not to say that I don't get stressed a lot, but the more you do this, the more you kind of realize you prepare as best you can, and then
you just kind of
some
roll
things
with
are out of your control. Yeah, some things are out of your control. You just got to roll with it.
And I think that's life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You prepare as much as possible. So I think that your job is intriguing. how did you get into this job? Is it like, did you apply on Indeed? Were you always like, but I want to do like, how, how did you get in this job? Like, where did this come from? Had you always wanted to be a live event producer? Like, how'd this work out for you?
Um, that's a great question because I went through a whole adventure. I played sports all growing up, and then um, I played volleyball was my favorite. I thought I might want to play volleyball in college. I did like the club volleyball. I did all that, and then my freshman year, I couldn't keep up in the off season. It was a lot of conditioning, and I have neurofibromatosis. So, well, and you can ask, yeah. It's called neurofibromatosis.
Okay.
NF1 for short is what I have, and we can get into this more in a sec. But essentially, I had quite a few surgeries growing up, and so I don't have most of the muscle in my right hip. So I couldn't keep up in the off season. And so the coach was like, why don't you play another sport, but just get into a consistent sport you're not just doing conditioning all the time. And so I started playing golf, and I loved it, and I stayed there. But then college, I kind of had to shift my plan, and I knew I loved and I wanted to stay in the sports world. So I thought going into school that I was going to be an agent. I was going to do business school at UT and then go to law school and then be an agent. And this is the weird thing about life. Like the first week on campus, it's called Gone to Texas, and it's just like all the clubs and everything set up, and you walk around and look at the booths. And Texas Student Television had a booth, and it was the way the sports department pitched it. It's tomorrow night is what they said. Tomorrow night we're taping it's like Sports Center for Texas sports. Mm-hmm. So I went, and then I just like stayed. I loved it. I thought it was cool. I was like, man, I never really thought about people having to like put sports on TV. Yes. Like I know I watch them all the time, but I never thought about it. That's someone's job, So I got into that in college, and my sophomore year is when ESPN launched the Longhorn Network, and I interviewed a ton for the internship. Finally got it my senior year. And again, another weird moment. They were launching SEC Network right the summer that I was graduating, and so one position opened up in Austin, and I applied for it and I got it. And so I stayed. My internship ended May 2nd of 2014, and then I started working full time June 2nd of 2014. So that's kind of the longish way around how I got there. Like I never really set out to do sports television when I was little because I kind of didn't know it was a thing. But now, like, I don't know. I'm sure skills would translate, but I don't know what else I would do at this point. When people ask like why I'm in Charlotte now is because our Austin office closed, and so it was like find another job or you can move to Charlotte and do this. And I was like, well, obviously I'll move to Charlotte because I don't know what else I would do.
Well, at least Charlotte's a pretty cool place, right?
Oh, I do love it. It's such a good, for me, especially living in Texas for the first 32 years of my life. Like,
right.
The weather is awesome. Like obviously I can sit outside now, which I'm sure, how hot is it in Texas right now?
It's actually cool today. It's like 60 degrees.
No way. Oh,
yeah, that's awesome. Great. Now, yesterday it was like 80, but that's different.
Whatever. That was yesterday. That's not today.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so I love the weather. Everything is green. It's also probably it was good for me. Like I lived in Texas my whole life, so it was a good adventure for me.
Absolutely. Anyway. I always think that like moving around into different places allows you to kind of see who you are in a different way. Like you got to go find new things. It kind of keeps your brain kind of flexible and your mind creative because nothing's the same as it used to be. Where are you going to eat? Where are you going to get your hair done? Where are you going to get your car taken care of? Like all of those things come into light. And so I think that moving away is always a cool thing, except it is also frustrating in the midst of it. But afterwards, you're like, yes. You know what? I'm actually pretty cool at this. I'm okay. So I think it's always good to move around. You said something that was interesting to me. And I am going to get back to your diagnosis and things like that. But you said that you applied for the internship a few times and then you finally got it your senior year. And I think that could be very, very useful for someone to hear kind of about that process and why you kept trying. Like, were you like, you know what? Nothing said, maybe I shouldn't try this again. What made you keep trying to get that in?
So this is the thing. It is I knew that I could do the job. The other thing was I started applying, I guess it was my first semester maybe of sophomore year. And one thing I understand more now after being on the flip side, and I hired interns later in my career there is, um, when you're hiring for an intern, especially, it's one of those, you got to find a balance between, obviously you're hiring an intern because you need help, but also these interns are coming to get experience to set them up for their careers potentially. So the feedback I kept getting was like, we like you, keep applying, you're too young,
Ah,
essentially.
okay. Mhm.
Like we want to hire seniors who are about to have to enter the workforce.
Mhm.
And so um that's one of those. I kept applying because I kept getting good feedback. I got frustrated once, I think my junior year, because it was each semester you could apply. The
Mhm.
second semester my junior year, I didn't apply because I did get frustrated. I got really frustrated. I was like, I'm close enough to that age. Y'all know, like,
Exactly.
but then senior year came around, I applied again, it all worked out. But yeah, it's one of those, like, especially if it's something you want or something that you can do and you're good at. You just have to keep.
Right.
I was on a hiring committee recently, and we had an employee who has been essentially applying for a promotion for years, and
Mhm.
there was always just one other person that was just a little bit stronger, and so this person had missed out on it. I mean, probably 3 or 4 interview cycles,
Mhm.
and going through this interview cycle, like, we had a whole bunch of other good candidates. So this was the nice thing too, is I don't know, the situation doesn't always apply, but some of the other people on the committee, we finally just went to the people who manage headcount and said, hey, listen, like, we can't not give this person this job.
Right.
They're essentially overqualified, but we also have another really good candidate. And if we are needing to hire immediately because we have a need, let's find a way to hire both of these people. So
Right.
um that is another testament to, like, just if you know you're good, because that's the thing, is this guy knew he was good at the job. He knew he could do it
Mhm.
because he had been doing it. And so he just kept applying and finally got the promotion.
That's interesting. I think that sometimes we get a little bit annoyed with the process, right? Especially when
100%.
you know that you can do it and the other people have no idea. And so I was kind of I heard something actually today. I think I saw a reel and they were like, some people have an undeniable belief in themselves, and if you have that belief in yourself, you're gonna be unstoppable. It's just that other people haven't recognized it yet, and so sometimes I'm like, but how do you know when you're, like, delusional and have too much audacity, right?
That's such a
Because
great question, though, because there are people with way too much audacity. Like,
yes, yes,
don't know where they got this audacity. You're totally
exactly.
right.
You're like, you're not that person, right? And so
Right.
I
I'm not gaslighting myself, right? Like,
exactly. And so I always wonder, like, am I being overly confident with this, or really can I do it? And I think sometimes, though, the people that are asking themselves, like, am I really being overconfident, probably do have the ability versus the people who are just like, yep, I can do it.
because you have the awareness. Like,
Yeah.
that's a very good point. Is the people who are going to doubt them. I think it applies in a lot of things too. Like, people in a lot of leadership roles, like, don't set out to be a leader. It emerges, and when you realize that you're good at leading people and other people recognize it. But yeah, like,
It just kind of naturally
no,
progresses that way.
yeah, it just kind of comes out like that. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about this. You're an athlete, you're playing. Did you have this NF1 diagnosis prior to becoming an athlete? When did you figure this out and how did it impact you?
So I was diagnosed when I was 2.
Okay.
And um what NF1, the one that I had, it is a genetic mutation, essentially, where there are tumors, not normally, they're not malicious, they're normally benign, but they wrap around your nerves.
Ah, okay.
And there are a whole lot of other it's interesting because some form of NF, at 1 in every, like, 2,000 births probably has some form of NF, but it
Really?
could manifest as just, yeah, it could manifest as just, They're called cafe au lait spots, which is just, it's like kind of a large freckle or something. Or it could be tumors on your skin, tumors under your skin. Some of the rarer and more intense forms you'll have a lot of issues with your bone and your bones and your skeletal system. A lot of eye issues. That's what they were worried about when I was younger. And I do wear glasses, but this could be related. I actually don't know, but I do have a cataract that I was diagnosed with in like, I think I was 10.
Really?
So you have a lot of eye issues with neurofibromatosis also. But yeah, so I was diagnosed when I was 2. It was not very well studied. So I think my first surgery, I was maybe 4. Then I went to MD Anderson in Houston. And I think I had essentially, it was going to take a couple surgeries to take out the whole tumor because it was kind of all wrapped around in my right hip and butt area. So all in like the muscles and nerves there. So it took, I'm trying to think, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and then a final one in 7th. So 5 total to get everything out, but everything is gone. They were able to resect the entire tumor. The problem there was at the time, technology. So this would have been in 2005. Technology was kind of just like, we're going to take everything that's there. So it was a lot of muscle, a lot of the fat, a lot of everything. But yeah, so I had the surgeries. I powered through for a while. Like it's kind of one of those. I won't say it like slowed me down per se. I was still playing volleyball and all that, but like I had to sit on a beanbag in class, and I had like a little. I will never forget. I had like a little soccer ball beanbag that I sat on, and yeah, it wasn't hard growing up with it. I don't think. I think the hardest part is when you get to like when you care about your appearance a little bit, because I do remember in 7th. I won't edit this out. In 7th grade, we were in gym class, and there was a kid making fun of me, and so I put him in a headlock and told him to leave me alone. That was probably the hardest thing to deal with.
I think that's the natural reaction. I think that was an okay. Sometimes you get punched in the face and you know not to do it again. So,
right.
So you're in the 1st grade having surgeries, and you're like, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I've had surgery as an adult, and I feel like but maybe kids are more resilient. Do you remember, like, did you have to stay out of school? Did you have to catch up? How long was your recovery? How'd that all work?
So I don't remember. I'll have a follow-up and an answer for you for this, because when you asked me to come on the podcast, it reminded me that I had been meaning to ask MD Anderson for all my medical records. So I'm getting like a full report of everything. I don't remember how long I was in the first time, but kind of going back to your resiliency thing, like I was in Houston, so we had a lot of family friends that lived there, so people were coming to visit me, and I was, in the hospital, but I got all the snacks I wanted, and I didn't have to go to school, so like it didn't even seem that bad at the time. Like I was trying to think if there's anywhere I remember like actually. I had to go in 7th grade, but I think again I only missed like a week of school, and that was just like a final one. So like I don't remember it being that hard in the moment at that time. Like I stayed. My grandparents live in Houston, so I would go stayed with them.
So you're having a good time.
That's the thing is, I was my parents, the people at the hospital, all of our family friends did a very good job of making it. So it wasn't. I didn't feel, I didn't feel like I was sick per se.
Right.
Just kind of like hanging out with everybody. We just happened to be in a hospital, and like also I'm having to like roll around on a flat wheelchair because I can't lay on my back.
Yes. Okay, so how you said that it affected your appearance, and I'm thinking they took out muscle, how does it impact your appearance, but also like your ability to build strength, because you don't have any muscle, right?
Ooh, yes, that is a great question, because I didn't think about how it would affect like the rest of my body. Obviously, I don't have muscle in my right hip, and so I was like, yeah, whatever, it's gonna be weaker. It actually caused a cartilage issue in my left knee,
Oh.
because I was overcompensating. So I had to go to physical therapy about 5 years ago for a while, to strengthen that so that I didn't destroy the rest of the cartilage in my left knee.
Mhm.
But physically, and this is, I'm cool with it now. I embrace it. I tell people I have an excuse to do things half-assed. It's because I only have half of an ass. But when you're 15 to 21, a young woman out in the world, and you know, you didn't notice it in dresses, but I essentially, like, it almost looks like there's like a, obviously it's missing, but it almost looks like someone just took like a chunk out of my right, like upper thigh, butt cheek, hip, all that. So it's like someone just took a bite out of it or something, like a shark or
Mhm.
something. Like, it's big, it's noticeable. Um, and so I was just super self conscious about it, and you get over it, and then like I re- I do remember, like, I think it was right after I graduated college, and I was floating the river with some friends, and you're on the bus back, and I was standing in front of a group of guys, and one of them was like, "Oh, what happened to her butt?" And I was like, "Wow, that's really rude. What? Why? Why would you do that?"
'Cause
But
they're dumb.
you know,
That's why. I
I'm
know why.
just like, why? Why? But
Yeah.
so that's more of the way that it kind of bothered me physically, and I am so lucky because there are a lot of people with NF who have tumors that are like, a lot of them are on like your face or your neck
Mhm.
or somewhere very pronounced.
Right.
And some of them, again, inoperable, or it's tough to operate on because they're wrapped around your nerves.
Right.
So,
What do they
uh,
do if it has to stay? Like, you were able to get yours off and then kinda live relatively normal, but what is the alternative?
uh, for a while, there was not one.
Mhm.
Recently, there have been two drugs that have been FDA approved to treat it and to shrink the tumors. I'm not gonna try and say the names because they're way out of
It's quite
my pay
alright.
grade, but yeah. But it was pretty much just living with it, yeah, which
Wow.
is why I also love, that there's now the Children's Tumor Foundation. They've been around for a while, but they're kinda one of the main ones that raises money for NF research.
Mhm.
And they do one of the big things that I'm a part of. It's called Cupid's Undie Run, and it's a fundraising run in February. It's a very short run because I'm not a runner. I do not run. I walk the mile. I do my best,
Yes. Hey,
but
I'm with you. You already know I don't like running.
I know. So, but what I love about it too is it's the undie run. They encourage you to, like, wear, fun undie. It's appropriate, obviously, because you have to run in public. But it's one of those, like, most people who have an F have some form of tumor or something where it disfigures your body, and then you're just in a whole group of people who are like that, who may have a bunch of tiny tumors all over their body, or one big one in one location. That's what mine was too. I don't think I mentioned that. Mine was just one big one that had taken over a lot of space. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, that's Children's Stewart Foundation has done a ton. I'm so glad that I found them. I will plug that any chance that I can, because they're the main ones funding the research for NF treatment, because there wasn't a treatment for. There's certainly not a cure, but there are now treatments that will make it less painful and more manageable.
Okay, and so I kinda wanna talk on the appearance thing, a bit because I feel like, we all have our things, right? They'll be like, "Oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate this." But this one's a little bit different. How did you continue to have some self-confidence while dealing with the idea that this is something that you can't change, but you don't necessarily like, you know?
That took a long time. Like, I would probably say I wasn't fully embracing it until my late 20s. But, so
Okay.
5 or 6 years ago, like, I would, yeah, just I hid it as best I could, because
Mhm,
it's not that hard to hide as long as I'm not wearing, like, leggings everywhere or something.
mhm,
But yeah, that is one that it took a while to just be okay with, because, like you said, there's nothing I can do.
mhm,
Um, and so at one point I did try and go. I talked to, like, a plastic surgeon about potentially getting it fixed. Partially because also with my job now, I'm traveling a ton, so I'm, like, sitting on airplanes. That's the
mhm,
thing now, like, it actually is kind of uncomfortable because I have
mhm.
no muscle or anything, so I'm, like, sitting bone to chair
Oh,
sometimes.
ah,
Um,
you need
but
your
yeah, this is
beanbag.
I know. I gotta go get my soccer ball back.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, that's the I have to have one of those like gel seats on my bike
Yes.
if I ride my bike.
I need that too, though. Riding a bike is brutal regardless of
Oh,
where you are on that.
I
That's brutal.
tried. It was during the pandemic when I started trying, and I'm like, bicycling just may not be my thing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So you said 5 or 6 years ago, did you just stop caring? What was the change?
That's pretty much exactly what it was. Like you just have to. I think it was a little bit of finally being okay with the fact that it's not my fault for one thing.
Mhm.
It's not my fault. And at this point, I can't change it. And also maybe just embracing, like, if it does come up, then I have a unique opportunity to explain to people about a disease that they probably haven't heard of unless you knew me.
Mhm.
Like, I know my close friends know, but like acquaintances, even people that I'm like baseball friends, people from the Occupy Left Field group, coworkers that I had for a while, like a lot of people don't know that I have it because you can't see it,
Mhm.
which is a it's nice most of the time. But yeah, I kind of stopped caring one and tried to look at it as more of an opportunity to maybe share a little bit more about
Mhm.
NF1, neurofibromatosis, Children's Tumor Foundation, all that kind of thing. But I do think though, like the not caring, it just comes after a while. I feel like we can always preach to younger people like
Yeah,
just
after
just let it ride, don't care.
yeah,
But like that's hard.
yeah, especially when you're young. I feel like the older you get, you realize that there's so many other things to worry about that it's just like, I can't care about that as much. But I
Right.
also wonder how, like, for lack of a better word, the wounds from there, right, impact how you move forward, right? And sometimes it's not obvious, but there is, for instance, it'll be like, "Oh, yeah, I don't wear those kinds of like, I used to like those things," and then it's like, "Oh, I didn't do this because of this." Have you had that experience?
I have, and man, you ask great questions because that opens up a whole other thing for me. Like I recently have been on, I hate to call it a journey because it sounds a little cheesy, but like just getting healthier. I've lost about 46 pounds over the last 8 months. And
Congratulations.
thank you.
Ah,
Thank you.
I know how hard that
Um,
is.
yeah, and it's one of those like I felt like I won't say I'm not attractive. I know I'm not ugly. I know that. But it was
I
like
hear you. I know what I know
like I just didn't think that because and it all probably stemmed from this whole like, oh, I have a little bit of this, I have this physical difference from other people. So why do I care about anything else? And so like after graduation, when I wasn't, you're walking around campus, you're forced to be a little bit physically fit. I
Yes.
graduated and wasn't. And on top of working the like 2 to 10 hours, so I'm eating dinner at 11 p.m. and going to bed at 1 a.m. and waking up just in time to get ready to go to work. I was sedentary. I didn't do a lot. So I put on a lot of weight after graduation. And then also going back to your point about moving to a new place, it was like I have the time now to focus on my health because I moved here. I didn't have a lot of friends to hang out with at the time. So I had time to just focus on my health. Um, but that's the thing, like I will wear swimsuits. Now, I used to just be very self-conscious. Now I'm very comfortable in it. Crop tops are still a little bit of a thing, but like I have a few that I like that I feel comfortable in that I wouldn't have worn anyway because I just didn't have the self-confidence going all the way back to when I was, 14 to like
Mhm.
try and do that. So,
Yes.
um, yeah, that's just a whole. That's this self-confidence is weird. Um,
Yeah, no, for the record, I am not comfortable with crop tops. I just can't figure out, like, first off, I get that I'm unique in some way. So before I that's a disclaimer before the whole crop top thing, I feel like I need to pull my shirt down. Like I don't
Growing
like I don't yes, yes. And I'm like, oh my shirt's not. I just can't, so just so you know, there are other people like me who have a completely different reason. It's just
yeah.
I don't know how to wear it. I don't know what to do. I'm just here
Yeah.
trying to figure out the whole crop top situation. But I think it's important as we talk about the confidence and that journey, right? Because what's interesting to me, and I think I do this too, and I think a lot of people who've done things or been through things do it, like it wasn't hard necessarily right then, right? Like, but there's so many little things that kind of put you in a place and you don't really recognize like how you get here. And then, which I think is very interesting too, when you go somewhere else or you do something different, it kind of puts you don't have anything to do but to focus on yourself a little bit because you need to survive in your new space, right? And so
Mhm.
in surviving, you're like, "Uh-oh." Like, I got some
Right.
things here that I've carried with me. My older cousin, told me one time, "You know, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. Like, you can keep going to different places, but you're taking yourself, and
You're
whatever
still
the
there.
issue was, you take it with you." So, it's just gonna show up some other way, and I think that that's kinda what you're talking about, that now you realize, like, "Wait a second, I've gotten to this point because I didn't care about myself in the way that I should have." So, now that you're trying to care about yourself, how's that going for you? What's that journey kinda look like?
It's been good. Um, it was nice just realizing that I could do it because I also spent a lot of time like, it's too much. It's gonna be too hard. Just don't even try because you're not gonna be able to do it." And then, um, honestly, I owe a big thanks to I have a friend that I met here who had a similar thing. Like she woke up one day and was like, "I am too heavy and this is not healthy." Like, and so she walked me through what she did. The place I go, it's called Medi Weight Loss. They're awesome. I like them, and it's not like it's not like crazy dieting or something. Like
Mhm.
it's pretty much just like adjusting your nutrition, which again I was terrible at. I ate takeout how many nights a week, because it was
Yes.
easy to pick up on the way home. So it was good for me to just like helps you refocus on just how to do it again.
Right.
And so yeah, once once you realize like you actually can, now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep going. Like I can be healthier here, and I can actually go. I You can make time to go to the gym, and you can, you know, even little things now. Like I moved most, like half of my stuff is still in the garage, and finally a couple weeks ago, I was like, we got to tackle something. We got to accomplish something today. But it's okay. Just because it's huge and it seems like a lot, like just a little bit at a time, little bit at a time, you can whittle away. And I think for me that I didn't want to do it because it seemed like too much. And going through this where I was able to lose the weight, which I never thought I'd be able to do. Now it's like, okay, you can.
Actually.
Again, small thing, but you can clean out the garage. Actually, I realize that there are boxes stacked on both sides and they're taller than you, but you just unpack one box and then you're gonna get a rhythm and you're gonna unpack one side of the well, one side of the garage. Like it
So
just yeah, yeah.
that's pretty awesome because well, my question is gonna be, so I'll let you sit with the question for a little bit because it's kind of a what if question. Do you think that you would have had this same epiphany and transformation if you had stayed in Austin?
No, no, I know I wouldn't, like,
Mhm.
because I had my routines set. I had what I was doing. My life was kind of set. Like I was in my I guess routines probably, but I was in my habits. I had my habits formed and developed, and I had no interest in changing them. Like it was working, it was fine. I
Yeah.
was unhealthy, and I couldn't walk upstairs without catching my breath, but whatever, you know. So yeah, I guess too. Look, I definitely wouldn't have staying there, and so this was good for the move was good for a myriad of reasons. Even just like
Yeah.
putting me out of my comfort zone, having to man making new friends as an adult is so weird.
Oh my
That's the
god.
other hard
And
part.
it's like you're not on the playground like, "Will you be my friend?" Right? Like, "Let's go jump on the swing." "Okay." And then you're lifelong friends. It's such a different experience, and people are weird, so you don't know if, like, it's a real weird person or, like, my
Right?
kinda weird person.
Exactly.
So I think that's always very interesting to try to figure out. So you moved. I try to explain this to people sometimes about how when you move, you kind of can. Sometimes moves aren't great, and sometimes they really are. Just like you
Mhm.
said, it's like, hey, I got to figure out something else. This doesn't serve me well now, and now I'm going to try to do something. I want to talk about a little like when you figured out that you could actually do it, right? So you had this person who kind of was like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." Was it that you saw her and you were like, "Well, if she can do it and she's kind of like me, then I can do it." Or was it always like, well, did you just let go of some fear because you moved to another place and you're like, "Well, I just moved here and I can do that, so I can do this." Can you kind of talk through a little bit about what mindset shift did you have for that?
Yes, I think to an extent it might be a little bit of everything you said there, but first of all, it was my hours are still weird, and I travel for the most part 2 nights a week, and so when you try and think like, all right, being healthy when you're on the road and you don't have access to your kitchen and stuff, but then like she can do it and she travels more than I do, so that's not an excuse. Just being accepting that that is not an excuse. Um, but I think also it kind of went back to like I'm not around people who knew my habits and routines either. So I can have different habits and routines, and that can be my new normal because I not and I wouldn't say that anyone like anyone in Austin it was like would have discouraged me, but it was just almost like it almost would be like when you ask it would almost be embarrassing for me to be like I feel unattractive and I want to change it because I
Yeah.
guess I just kind of maybe was afraid of like Uh, is maybe sympathy is the best word, or like pity
Yeah.
if we're being honest. Like I don't want anyone to be like, "Oh, Jordan," or I didn't want anyone that I knew and loved. "Oh, Jordan thinks she's ugly. We have to tell her she's pretty," because it's
Thank
like
you so much for
I
saying this.
don't want
Thank
that.
thank you so much for saying this because it's so hard to explain to people where it's like, I do want your support, but I absolutely don't want your pity. And there's a very, very thin line between the 2. And it's
Mhm.
like I don't mind you encouraging me, but I also don't need you to send me an uplifting quote about how I'm not because feeling unattractive or feeling like you're less than sometimes is like I'm really down and maybe I will need that. But other times it's just like I'm just trying to change it, right? I'm just trying
Mhm.
to live in that and make it a little bit different. And so I don't know the answer to the because it is kind
Right.
of embarrassing, right? Like it's I don't know if it's somebody told me that's our ego, right? Because we're not giving people a chance to actually react. But then you get annoyed and I don't want to have to say something crazy or like withdraw from people. And so maybe I'm gonna have to get a psychologist on here or something to tell us about like
Yes.
how
Yes.
that's what this really is. Because there's something to this, Jordan. I know that there's something to this because it's a real thing. And I think that from the outside looking in, and I would tell you, Jordan, you're not unattractive. Like the thing that I don't want people to do, I would probably do to someone else in like,
1,000,000%.
hey, but I guess maybe the thing is asking like, what do you need in this space? Like, what do you actually need? But I wouldn't even have been able to tell them what I needed either. So there's the other part. Like, where do
Right.
we go
Right.
in this? It's just a very, very interesting dynamic from that pity point of view and thing. So I guess, have you done any other methods to kind of find yourself like, are there things that you're like, I'm gonna go buy a new sweater right now because this makes me feel this way? Or like, are there things that kind of boost that, like, you know what, I am attractive and this is what I'm gonna do to own it?
Um, I de I definitely do, like, reward myself. I love to shop. It's so bad. Uh, and I have shoes. That's probably the one constant. And maybe that's why I love shoes so much because like, it didn't matter what size I was. I still like shoes. Doesn't care.
Yes.
Shoes don't care. Grammar. Um, but I definitely will now. Like, every time I hit a little milestone, I'm like, "All right, you can go." And this is I love Old Navy. So it's like, "All right, let's just go to Old Navy and pick a couple things out that, like, make you feel good now because you've worked hard." And I just give myself a little treat, every time I hit a goal.
Well, you know what?
But
First
I
off, I'm gonna put a little tag in here. You love to shop. I hate to shop. And so maybe we can connect on a way. That's your strength and my weakness. And maybe
Yes.
we can find a way
Yes.
to make this beneficial so you won't have to spend your own money and I won't have to shop.
There
It
we
works
go.
out
There we
perfect.
go. This is a plan.
Yeah. See, you find all kinds of things on this podcast. But the other part is like, all right, so you go find these new things and you're like, this is a treat. Is there something now, if you're looking at yourself and you're like, oh yeah, no, this is cool. I like this about myself. What's that thing now that you're like, and it doesn't even have to be physical. It could be like the confidence. It could be whatever it is. What now do you look at yourself and you're like,
It's that there are two things I can tell you there for sure. Like I hated taking photos, even group photos. I was always the one like hiding in the back. I hated posting photos on Instagram. You could, it was all landscapes and dogs and the beach, like all the cool things I saw, but never myself enjoying those things.
mhm,
And like I had those photos, but I wasn't going to share those with the world. I'm not. One thing is I have the confidence to share that now.
mhm,
Um, and then the other thing is just being able to like this summer I went to Panama and there was a group of us on like this hike and Panama is humid as heck.
mhm.
But I wasn't out of breath on
Yeah.
this. And I literally at one point I stopped and I just stopped and I stood there and I was like, well, dadgum, maybe maybe there is some maybe this is worth it. Like, you know, going through like cooking your own food every night and trying to get to the
Mhm.
gym, but like then I can make it you can make it to, the end of your hike or you can walk the whole, the loop with the dogs and not be out of breath. For me anyway. That's, cuz the dogs. I have no kids, so the dogs are the
Yeah.
kids right now.
You
But
get
just
to
being
do
able to
life.
do things.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's crazy because you don't the other weird thing is I never felt like I was like missing out per se,
Mhm.
but being able to do it and not be so uncomfortable was nice. It's just nice. It's just nice to
Yeah.
be able to do it and not have to take as many breaks and not have everyone waiting on all this stuff. Like it's nice to just be able to do life a little more a little more I don't even know what the right word is, comfortably.
Freely. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
freely. There you go.
it's just like, "Oh, wait." I think that what we don't, it's crazy because this makes me think of somebody saying, like, you have to choose your hard, and it's hard either way, but you don't necessarily recognize that it's hard until it's not as hard, right? It's, like, easier, and you're like, "Crap, I was really doing that the hardest way I could have done it," and so I think that sometimes, we don't know that our heart is hard in that way because we're so afraid of the hard to get to the other side that, and then you look back and you're like, "Man, I could have done this a couple of years ago and things would have been
Coulda
easier," right? But
Oh
I
gosh, yes.
I think that's actually a really good lesson. I didn't even think about that, about how, once it becomes easier, you realize, "Oh my god, I was really choosing the hardest way to do it." So that's actually really cool. Okay, so I have a few questions that I usually end all interviews with because I don't wanna keep you forever. I have a lot of questions. I'm sure I could
I feel like we could just sit here and chat for forever.
yeah.
We're gonna have to do more
I
than
am
one of
a
each.
very
Yeah.
curious person, so I try to rein that in a bit. But I do wanna know what right now is hard for you?
Hmm. Um, it's funny to think, and I think you've touched on this quite a bit. Is like I don't ever want to say anything's hard because someone else is always dealing with something harder. You
Yes.
know, like I think maybe just as much as the holidays are coming up. I think probably the hardest thing now is still kind of, and I have a great group of friends and everything, but it's still like I am the only one in North Carolina and everyone else is still back in Texas. So kind of like it hasn't hit me yet, but I'm sure there are going to be times where like, oh, all my family's in
Mm,
Dallas or Arkansas or Oklahoma City, and I just like being here. I know I'm not alone, but sometimes you kind of feel lonely. I'm much less lonely than I was a year ago at this time. Um, but still, the move for all of the positive things, there are still some times where I'm like, everybody that everybody's over there. I'm here. Um, so yeah, maybe just that, because work has finally, work normally my what is hard would be work related, just
Hmm.
always, because it's it's busy, and it's a lot of travel, which is hard for me more just because I enjoy the traveling part. I don't love the being, like, away from the dogs so much part. I feel guilty. I feel guilt. Maybe that's actually a good thing, is I'm also gonna have to travel a lot between Christmas and some of this, like, soccer postseason, all this stuff, like,
Hmm.
dealing with the guilt of, wanting to continue progressing my career while knowing that, like, I left the dogs at home, or, like, I have to shorten a family vacation because I wanna go do the job thing. So, like, trying to process being okay with choosing myself or my job in some of these things,
Hmm.
and dealing with that guilt. That is actually hard now that we're talking it through.
See now, Jordan, you can't lay something like that out there. And as I'm like, let's shorten this. I'm trying to go here and talk because so we're gonna put a huge pin in that. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, we are going to have, I'm gonna talk you into doing another little short segment on
Yeah.
just that little, maybe we'll do a short and do a behind the scenes type situation because I think that that is something we all struggle with in different forms because
Mm.
choosing yourself is seems selfish. I mean, it is selfish, but like choosing
You gotta
that,
do it, though.
right?
Sometimes you have to, like,
And it's so
because you're gonna
hard
have
though.
nothing, so
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so
Oh, yeah.
hard because then you're like everybody, you're not. You feel like you're letting people or things down, but then
Mhm.
also if you don't choose yourself, then you're gonna be down, and so
Mhm.
and then you won't be happy in the things that you're trying to be fulfilled in, and those kinds of things, and so I'm not gonna ask any more follow-up questions on that one, but
Don't
you just
forget it.
laid a nice thank you, Jordan, for that. I should have asked that at the beginning of the interview, and and then we would have gotten here. Okay, what's bringing you joy right now?
Oh, I feel like a lot of things. Right now, I think em embracing being here and doing things with my friend group. I hope this isn't this might take you down a rabbit hole again too. I It's funny, Shelly actually texted me yesterday, because I'll check in with her and, like, "Hey, this episode's gonna be done. Probably tonight I'm at dinner with a friend, or someone's in town." And she said, "I'm so glad you're going out and doing things." And I'm like, Same, because I used to just be like, I don't know, kind of a homebody. I'd go to baseball, but otherwise I was like, I'm not gonna go out and do stuff. Like, I'll just sit. Now that I have, like, a good friend group here and things, I'm going and doing we go out to dinner, and I go to, like, I went to a speed dating event. It's just like be embracing things, and yeah, that's another thing for the speed dating is not for me, fam. No. Bu but, just embracing not only focusing on work, which was
Yeah.
for the first 10 years of my life. That was my focus because I was good at it, and also, I felt like I felt like I had to, from the instance of there weren't a ton of people in our office. So it was always that kind of like, if I don't do it, or if this one other person doesn't do it, it doesn't get done. And I don't feel like that anymore, which is another freedom of being in this office. Is I'm one of many people, so I don't
Right.
feel the need to be on call and in the office and everything. So now I can go out and just go to dinner with a friend, or go see a movie, or go to a concert. And so that's bringing me a lot of joy, being able to do all that stuff now.
That's really cool, and you're right, it would take me down another rabbit hole. So I I have so many questions to ask
I
about
know.
that. So now I know to ask Jordan all the questions at the beginning that I usually ask at the end so that but then we'd have a 2-hour interview, right? Then
Right,
you guys are
right.
never finishing this up. But I think that you've said a lot that I think will resonate with people about um, having more for yourself, like getting out and doing things. Sometimes and I feel like I would say I'm a pretty big introvert, right? And I really value being by myself, but I also understand that I'm starting to understand more that maybe you need to get around people and do things sometimes because it
Yeah.
brings you something else and you see other people's perspectives, you get to laugh at things. Um, and you kind of experience life in a different way than you do when you're just kind of solo looking at it from a different lens. So it's very interesting. I'm not going to ask any more questions about that, Jordan, but we will touch on it. You're going to be like, why is
Yeah.
Sharima talking me now? It's because
No, this is great too because it's like things I gotta be like subconsciously aware of, but until you ask the question, it's not like I
Mhm,
think like I probably would have never like just sat with myself and talked about like how much the weight loss or how much the NF diagnosis or how much just like
mhm,
this move has obviously it's impacted me. That would be silly to say that it hadn't, but like how many things it has changed,
mhm.
picking up after 32 years in the same state and moving all the way over here. Like
Yeah.
I I don't sit with it that much and just contemplate it.
Yeah.
So
And I think
you're absolutely asking good
I
questions.
I think that's part of it when you're living the life, right? You're just living and somebody comes in and is like, "Hey, what about this?" And you're like, "Oh, yeah, I guess that's true." So,
Oh.
no, so I think that that's really cool. So we'll have to have another segment. I've got to figure out how we're gonna do that to make sure that we can touch on some of these
Yeah.
things. Because I think from the weight loss, from the NF diagnosis, from the finding friends to I think it'll resonate with a lot of people in different ways because we all have our version of this, right? Where we're trying to figure it out and then we try it and then your life just opens up in ways you never thought. And I think that that's also another thing. It's like when your life does open up in that way, there's like, oh my gosh, right? And you start to feel mu- much more like, I didn't know I was missing this. And this is what really life really feels like. And so I think there, but you're still you, right? So you still have the same kind of things that were, so we'll definitely have to have a conversation about that 'cause I think it's a
Yes.
cool thing. And I am like, this resonates. And I know that if it's you and I, then there are more people that kind of feel the same way. And the thing
Mhm.
is getting the different perspectives. Okay, last question. I might be lying about that, but I think it's the last question. As long as you don't say anything, Jordan.
I'm not gonna get crazy, I promise.
The easiest question, maybe it is, I don't know. What does good enough mean to you? Good enough today, what's that mean for you?
Oh, good enough today. And I knew you were gonna ask this. So I even tried to brainstorm a little bit. But I think the main thing is just being good to myself and still trying to be good to the people that I care about. So showing up every day like for myself first or as a top priority. So whether that's like, hey, I'm really not feeling like working a ton today, like I'll knock out the important things and then I'm gonna go take the dogs for a walk or I'm gonna go get my nails done or something. I guess that's how I would describe good enough today. Is just trying to make myself trying to do the best for myself each day.
To see, again, Jordan, you know,
See, I'm talking to you because it's like because I don't like I don't think about these things that often. I just am just going through each day, and then it's like,
yeah.
man,
No, I love it, and yes, I think that's a great answer, first off. I do think it's a great answer, and I love that answer for so many reasons and have so many questions, though, so thank you, 'cause all day I'm gonna be driving
yeah,
or something like, Jordan said. I think it's great. I think that loving ourselves is something that I've, of course, struggled with all the time is how to love myself first and love myself like I love other people. And I
hmm
think that that's something that is common for a lot of people. It's like, how do I love myself and also love people, but give myself the grace to kind of show up in that way. So, um, I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole though, Jordan. I'm not gonna do it, but we will have
See,
another
and
conversation.
I have a good story though about that too. It's like
Let's do it. Then. Tell me.
I'm gonna make it quick. I'm gonna make it so quick. Or try to make it so quick because I I know that I love my friends. I know that everyone can count on me. Sometimes I think like, well, if I do something for myself, like am I at the detriment of someone else? And I had a friend send me the other day. It was, you know, one of those like it's words Instagram had music, but it was like it said something about, you know, those friends that are like a ray of sunshine. Like every time you see them, it just feels like sunlight on your face. And she sent that to me, and I haven't seen her in a long time. She's one of the people I used to do trivia with, and she sent that to me, and she's like, "This is you," and I was like, "That's exactly what I needed today,"
Yeah.
because I don't think about, but like it was so nice for someone to say like the way that I am being a friend the way I want to be a friend. Like
Yeah.
that is the
No,
coolest thing, and so yeah,
no, I
that
think
that
that's
was a
great.
nice thing, and to remind yourself that you really are, like you said, good enough today. Like, you may not feel like it, but people are seeing it probably.
Yes, and I think that we're so hard on ourselves, right? That we get lost in all the things, and we're the main character in our stories, right? And so sometimes when you
Mhm.
have that main character, you can only focus on like, oh, I need to be better at it, and everybody else is like, you're actually pretty awesome. So I think that that's why it's important to have community because the people around you sometimes will give you a more accurate reflection of who you are than what you believe in yourself. And that can be both positive and negative, but that's room for growth and transformation in a positive way, either way. So I think that that's a great segue into into understanding though that we are all imperfect in our own ways and that it can always seem like we have something to perfect or to do. But especially as we're in the holiday season, we should know that we got to love ourselves, take care of ourselves. And even though things might be rough and you might not think that you have it together today, you can remain hopeful for tomorrow, but understand that you're absolutely good enough today.
Hopeful for tomorrow, good enough today. Oh yeah, hopeful for tomorrow, good enough today.